Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. So for today's video, I have a very cool unboxing. So I am part of the mystery box challenge. This was put together by Courtney from Creative on the Cheap. I'm sure you've seen these videos before. They're super duper cool. So what it is you are assigned one YouTuber and they send you a box full of goodies that you're supposed to craft with. There's always a mystery item in there or a twist. This month's twist is that they're supposed to send you an unfinished craft or a craft that was a total fail and you're supposed to create it into something amazing. There's always items that you have to use and then the other items, you try and incorporate as much as you can. So my box was sent to me by Kristen K and I sent a box over to Courtney from Creative on the Cheap. So let's go ahead and unbox this and see what Kristen sent me. I already opened it, but I don't know what's inside. Okay, let's go ahead and open this box. So, I already see some goodies, but I'm gonna pull out her note and I'm pretty sure I can read this on camera. Jay, I cannot wait to see what you create. I had so much fun shopping for your box. Even those challenge items. Love, Kristen. I can't wait to see what you sent. So the first item is this little notebook. I really like the outside. The back is not black and gold, it's just black and white. She sent me these dowel rods. Amazing. Already off to a good start. Then I have this little, it's like a little clipboard. She really didn't send anything crazy. I have this cute little heart cutout, house cutout. Some wood plaques she sent too, so amazing. Love this. A shadow box set, so it brings a small one and a big one and you can hang this up, which is pretty sweet. Kristen, you went all out. Yay! She sent me this beautiful greenery. I love working with greenery. This is boxwood, so I'm pretty sure I can create amazing stuff. Ooh, girl. I have this chalkboard tag. How funny. I just created a fall sign using one of the Dollar Tree signs that looks like this. So, fun. This beautiful little, I don't know what this shape is, but I know Dollar Tree carries these too, and I have a ton. I don't know how I'm gonna put these items together. Jeez. Okay, another sign thing. Is this a sign? Oh yeah, it is. Craft me. Okay, so I have letters and I have these little wood cap things which I've used plenty of times in crafts. She sent really good stuff. All right, the item that she sent is, this is one of them and it's already unraveled from me pulling stuff out. There are these two little, wait, is this your unfinished craft? I want to say this is your unfinished craft because it feels like it was painted. So I think this is Kristen's unfinished craft that she gave up on. Love it. And then we have one more item, and this I for sure have to use, that and this. Miss Kristen sent me an emergency rain poncho. Girl. I really thought she was gonna send me toilet paper because we had a little inside joke about toilet paper, but I got a rain poncho. I have a lot of thinking to do. I have a lot of considering to do. Off we go to brainstorm. Thank you so much for my box, Kristen. I love everything, and this is definitely gonna give me a brain workout. Appreciate it. Okay, here we go. DIY number 1.
Kristen's mystery item.
We are starting off strong with one of Kristen's mystery items, and it is the shadow box set. I'm only going to use the biggest one. I found this really pretty navy leaf pattern at Michael's. They have a few really beautiful patterns, but this one always calls to me. So I'm going to trace this out, and if anybody has a hack on how to cut this out perfectly, let me know, because it does have a little bit of a lip. So getting it the perfect size is a little hard. So if you have a hack, let me know. After a whole lot of work, I finally got it to fit, so I was super duper excited in the end.
That's just so rude. Why don't you ever include me? Why? Why don't you ever include me? I'm right here and you use scissors? You use scissors? Rude. What am I, chopped liver?
So now it's time to Mod Podge this on. I usually use a foam brush. I'm really lazy when it comes to regular brushes, so in order for me not to destroy it by leaving it out for way too long with Mod Podge on it, I prefer using the foam ones. And I'm not gonna lie, this was not perfect because I put it in with a little bit of a lump. It's in the corner, you can't really see it, so I'm not too mad at it. I really wanted to make this a little shelf, so I was going to go with the Dollar Tree rulers and just remove this, but then I realized that I would have to go into my garage and get my saw, and I just didn't want to deal with that. I did want to show the width of it. It's pretty much the same as the popsicle sticks. The popsicle sticks are a little bit smaller. You would need a saw for the top one and scissors for the bottom, so I went with scissors. They were just a whole lot easier and already accessible, so I went with that.
Okay, fine. I'll give scissors that much. I can't do that. But no one cuts in a straighter line than me. No one. I can cut a mean wrapping paper.
So apparently my craft supplies have been feeling neglected since I had a child, and take the easier route with things. They'll be okay though. So I am cutting this down and I am trying to get the little shelf thing going on. I'm going to measure out that popsicle stick on top of the other one so that they are both the same size. And when I go to wedge it in, I'm going to secure it with a little bit of hot glue. You can do Gorilla Wood glue, which is what I usually do, but hot glue is working because it is an instant hold and I'm not putting anything heavy on top of this. Okay, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I wanted to put something on the top because it looked really plain, but I did regret using this. And I remembered that Kristen sent over that really pretty greenery. I don't think the pretty greenery would have looked good on this because I'm gonna stage it with a bunch of little pumpkins. After staging it, it definitely did grow on me. All right, craft number 2.
Kristen's mystery item.
Here is another one of Kristen's mystery items, and this one is a bonus because this one I have to use no matter what. I really love the color that she painted this. I don't know why she abandoned this craft because the color is stellar. I wrapped some twine around the top. I'm usually not one to wrap twine around things, at least not often, but in this case it seemed like the best option. I love the way it looks against that mossy green color. So I'm gonna take a lighter and I'm gonna burn off all of those little fuzzies from the twine, being really careful because this bottle is plastic. So I didn't have anything really small to place on there. I didn't want to add any vinyl because I would be ruining the paint that Kristen added. So I had dried oranges that I made during Christmas last year, and I still have them. So I just took an orange, sliced it down, I preheated my oven, and this thing basically slow cooked for a very, very long time until they dried out. And when they dry out, they look so nice. Sometimes they smell a little funky, but they do look really nice. And the longer they dry, the more of like an amber color they get. They baked at 200 for a few hours. It really is up to you. Just check your temperature. Some people do this in a dehydrator. Make sure that if you're doing it in the oven, you're putting it on a rack, because if not, it takes a whole lot longer. And then flip midway through. You can tell this is the footage from Christmas because my hair is still curly. It's still curly. I just straighten it. This is what the oranges look like, but they can definitely get more of that amber shade the longer that you bake them for. The finished ones that I have are pretty intense, and even if you are not continuously keeping them in the oven, if you lay them out, they start to get a little darker. I'm just gonna hot glue them onto the bottle. I also really wanted to add a little cinnamon stick, but it really was overpowering considering the fact that these bottles are not huge. So I took a tiny little pine cone. This is from a pack from Dollar Tree. And for the other one, I added an orange wedge, but I didn't add the pine cone just so it doesn't look too matchy. I even considered adding some of the Dollar Tree leaves in there so it looks a little bit more fall, but I just felt like it was too much. I found these candles, which were nice and thick. They're from Michael's, and when I placed them in and they were the exact size, I was so happy. I wish I would have gotten them in off-white, but I still think they look really good. Craft number 3.
Kristen's mystery item.
For this one, I'm going to use this little plaque thing that she sent, and I had stained it with black for another project, so I figured, why not? Let's go crazy. I painted the whole thing black. Painting it this color, I was super excited because I already knew what I wanted to make. Dollar Tree has similar signs, so for one of my Halloween videos, I was going to make something with the sign, so I get to make it today because Kristen also sent another item that works perfectly with this craft. Here it is, the big reveal. I included this footage in because I thought it would be cute to be like, oh, this is what I'm making. But this is not sponsored. I don't want anybody to see the cricket and think that this video is sponsored. I modified this SVG a bit. It's from Design Bundles and it's one of their like free ones if you have a membership. I didn't like the placement of it, so I did modify it. I'll still link it below, but you will have to play around with it if you want it to look like this. Okay, y'all, it's time for Kristen's
mystery item.
If you saw and sat through my intro, then you would have seen how excited I got when I saw the dowel rods, because I knew in my heart of hearts that I wanted to make this, and I was so glad that she sent something to make it possible, because I don't think I'm posting another Dollar Tree Halloween video. So this is just me living out my dream right now. I took some watered down paint. This is just a mix of different shades. For another craft, I used kind of like a yellowy type of color. So for this one, I just added black. Now I'm using the cinnamon things from Dollar Tree. P.S. and by the way, I despise the smell of fake cinnamon. It makes me really sick, but I put up with it for this craft. Anyway, the joke is on me because I just found out that Dollar Tree carries the same thing but scented with pumpkin, which doesn't make me sick, and so does Michael's. So I just put up with the smell of cinnamon when I could have just got a pumpkin one. I took one long piece of twine, I folded it in half, and then I tied 2 knots so that this could be horizontal instead of vertical.
That is what those knots are. You can make them tight, you can make them loose, however you want. I kept them pretty loose so that I can move this around because I wasn't sure where I wanted my sign to sit. This is a little tricky because I actually had to hot glue this in place while it was still on my table. I just didn't want to flip it over and lose the placement. You do you if you want to do it another way, but this is how I did it and my table was okay. But I cannot promise that yours will be too. Also, yes, I am that person that doesn't paint the back of signs because no one's gonna see it. Anywho, I really like how this turned out. It was simple, but also super cute.
Kristen's mystery item.
That's right, folks, it's time to craft with another one of Kristen's mystery items. It's this lovely tag type chalkboard, and what I am making, I am going to state it now, is not food safe, and I am fully aware of that, but I thought this was really cute for display, faux food, faux all the things. Anywho, so I'm taking some popsicle sticks and I am painting them black to match, and then I'm going to cut them down with my trusty scissors. Now normally I would use Gorilla Wood glue, but this is just a display thing, so I am adding just hot glue to cover up that little hole right there. I want this to be like a little serving tray, but again, not food safe. We are painting this with regular paint. We're not sealing it, or at least me, obviously. I used my Cricut to make a tiny little cutout that says charcuterie. How cute is this? It's so simple, it's so silly, but I love it so much, and I'm displaying a bunch of stuff that shouldn't be on this, but this is all I had, so enjoy. I'm starting off this next craft with an item that isn't from Kristen's mystery box. It is this chest box. Oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it. I am unscrewing the hinges, and I do save this stuff because you never know when you need a tiny little hinge. So I'm unscrewing and putting this away. I'm also keeping the latch up front because all I want is the box. I'm going to use the largest one, which is the bottom, and now we're going to move on. If someone can remind me in my comment section to buy white paint. I have every single paint known to mankind, but I never buy white paint. I always think I have, and I do not. So if y'all can do me a solid and just comment, buy white paint, I would appreciate it. I am trying really hard to make this paint stretch. It did. It did.
Kristen's mystery item.
I'm going to be using these little caps and also this candle holder, which I bought from Michael's. This is paint from Dollar Tree, and I'm just mixing it up with some water. I also added a smidge of brown. It's almost like a terracotta color that I use all the time called Pueblo. I'm trying to get the same shade that the candle holder is, or at least close. So I'm actually going to paint both of these and let them dry really well. I also went ahead and painted the candle holder just so it has a fair chance of becoming the same shade. I let it dry and it looked pretty good the following day. Now I'm going to use another one of
Kristen's mystery item.
So I'm certain at this point you figured out what I'm making. I'm going to remove everything that is on here. I'm using an upholstery staple remover. I actually cannot find my screwdriver anywhere, so I used that as well as a screwdriver and it worked beautifully. You can go ahead and fill in the holes. I'm talking to you guys as if you have this same piece at home. I'm gonna leave it as is. Normally I would do E6000 in hot glue, but I'm out and I'm also out of the super glue brand, so this worked just as well. So if you're out, at least you know that this will work. Flood the inside with glue so that you have a better hold. And now I'm gonna flip this over and it is nice and leveled, so we can move on. I'm gonna grab my candle holder, add the same process. I'm not flooding the middle for this because that would just be a lot of glue. I'm trying to center it as best I can. And for the top, I'm gonna do the same thing. This is a candle holder that I had used before, so it already has a ton of glue up top, and I'm just gonna fill in the areas that don't have it. Then I'm adding the top piece, which is just that chest that I had painted white. Alright, so for this one, I'm using some pumpkins from Dollar Tree. I'm actually just using one, and I'm going to seal up that little hole. It's not going to be used for a gift tag or garland, so I really don't like that little hole showing. I'm using some spackle from Dollar Tree. Some people suggest using white toothpaste. Whatever you have on hand, use that. And I'm scraping off the excess and letting it dry completely. Now I'm going to take these two shades and mix them up. I want a very muted orange, like I don't want anything super bright. I was also considering doing more of a pink or a green. I'm all about using other colors other than the traditional ones. So this is a color that I came up with. I am painting this as fast as I can because I want to be able to blend colors, and if you wait too long, it's hard to do. So this is a color that I was telling you about, Pueblo. It's one of my favorite colors, and I'm mixing it in with the original paint, and I shouldn't have done that because I needed the original paint in the end to blend. So I'm going to paint the little stump up top and then start to paint the middle. So where the pumpkin has the little indentations, I'm just kind of doing little parentheses around there. And trust the process because this looks really, really bad right now. But once you start blending, I'm telling you, anybody can make this look really good. So this is why I like to add the colors while the paint is still wet, because it's a lot easier to work with, to blend in colors. If you have something that's too harsh, you can always just, blend it out. I did mix up a little bit of a darker shade for the stump, and then I grabbed the paint with the orange and...
Kristen's mystery item.
That's right, folks. It's another one of Kristen's mystery items. Now, I am going to grab some of this beautiful wood grain paper from Michael's, and I'm going to cut this out. I do not want to waste this paper because I really love the pattern. So I am going to use...
Is this it? Is this my moment? She's gonna use me. She's finally gonna use me.
This just made it a whole lot easier to cut it down and get a nice solid line. So you're going to want to make sure that it is aligned and that you stop cutting right there. So pay very, very close attention, and then just add the other side. I don't know why this is a tutorial. I feel like explaining what I'm doing. So now I'm going to move on to Kristen's mystery item. So I'm using some Mod Podge and a foam brush. This is from Dollar Tree. You can also get Mod Podge at Walmart, but I always just buy it at Dollar Tree. I'm adding a generous amount, but not soaking wet, because that just creates a really, really bad texture on whatever you're using. I'm trying to align this nicely, and then I'm getting those corners so they don't lift up. I saved all of the wood pieces from the shadow box craft, and I'm just going to cut them down because I just want to create some height. I'm gonna glue these little pieces together. Using something like a Jenga piece would be a little too thick for what I'm going for, so this is why I'm using these scrap popsicle sticks. I'm putting this behind my pumpkin, and then I'm gonna add some leaves. This is not where the craft ends. I still have to use Kristen's must-use mystery item. So I'm gonna hot glue my pumpkin and move on to the next step of this craft. So for that, I'm using a 6x8 canvas from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start removing the staples using my upholstery staple remover. Normally people would cut around this if you're not using the canvas, but I want this to lay flat, so I am removing the staples. Now, now it's time. It is time.
Kristen's mystery item.
Oh, Kristen. Oh, Kristen. When I saw this, I was intimidated, but also excited, and I really thought that this poncho was going to be a little thicker. So this is the craft that I wanted to go with. And then when I finally opened it, anyway, I'm going with it anyway. So I cut this down. I'm trying to straighten it as much as possible. And now I'm going to try and stretch it onto this canvas. Because it's so thin, I have to be really, really careful that this doesn't melt with the heat of my glue gun. So I'm stretching the top. So far, so good. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom. Stretch as much as I can before laying it down. And I thought I was doing pretty well. I thought I was on top of the world. And then, there it is. There it is. It's melting. But you know what? We have to keep going anyway. So I did the same thing to the sides. I let it cool just a little bit before stretching the canvas on there. But I ended up with wrinkles because essentially it did keep melting. So all of the tugging that I did, what's funny is that I have no patience for real life things. None at all. But I have a ton of patience for craft stuff. If you've been on my channel before, you know that I take on some projects that are just ridiculously time consuming. I really wanted to make this work. I really wanted to. Even seeing the wrinkles, I was like, you know what? We just got to keep going. I could have made something else, but I wanted this to work. Did it work? I'm going to say no. Anyway, I went on a mission to try and find glitter in the shape of tiny leaves, and I finally found it at Michael's, nowhere near my home. But look at how beautiful this is. If you're wondering, yes, I did get glitter everywhere, just trying to capture that shot that wasn't that satisfying. I'm adding the top piece or the back piece on top of that canvas and gluing it shut so none of the glitter comes out. Listen, I know that the plastic doesn't look the best, but look at this. It is so darn cute. I might replace it with glass, but I think that this was a little bit of a fail and a little bit of a win. Let me know what you think. So that's it for me. I really, really hope that you enjoyed these crafts. A big thank you to Kristen for sending everything over. I loved it. A big thank you to Courtney from Creative on the Cheap for organizing this, and check out the playlist in my description to see everybody else's unboxing. Courtney has the stuff that I sent over. I cannot wait for you guys to see everybody's creations. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.